So if you're not booking sales calls with outreach at the moment, then here's what I recommend that you do. But before we go into that, I want to quickly share more about the problem itself with just, things that you might be experiencing with outreach at the moment. So the first thing that's really common is sounding salesy, right? Sounding salesy in the sense that the messages you're sending either, get bad responses in the sense that people feel like you're pitching, or maybe you are pitching, but also just the way you feel in sending the messages as a whole. Because if you're not comfortable with it and perhaps they're not comfortable with the messages that are being sent, then there's always going to be friction there and you're never going to quite feel as confident as you can be with it. The second thing is you might be lacking consistency in the results you're getting from outreach. And obviously, if you're lacking consistency in the results you're getting, that gives you perhaps less need or importance of continuing to do the outreach as well, right? I speak to founders that, did outreach, but then sort of pushed it away because it wasn't giving results. So there was no real need to be consistent. And that's obviously a problem because that level of consistency is going to help you get the results you need. And the last thing as well, just being generally like a lack of time for energy, a lack of time and energy for outreach, right? Not really, right? I mean, founders perhaps, just sort of focusing on delivering for clients and doing outreach on a regular basis just perhaps isn't that sort of top priority. And obviously, I find there's obviously a few things you can do for that. But generally, these are the sort of the main three problems that I tend to see when it comes to outreach. So, if we're going to avoid trying to sound salesy, what I usually like to focus on for myself is you want to aim to identify problems as opposed to selling. And this is something I really like to integrate with my outreach, where instead of going, okay, right, here is effectively my offer, all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to identify if they have a problem that I can solve, right? I'll personalize the message and then I'll ask a qualifying question to see if they have a problem that I can solve. This could be as simple as, the question being, hey, like how's the LinkedIn lead generation going? You doing well, right? Obviously, that's for my niche, but something that aims to identify the problem. Because yeah, sure, right, you're still doing outreach. Some people still might get a bit annoyed, but that's just other people. What matters here is that you're not selling, right? You're not selling. You're just trying to identify if they have a problem you can solve or not. Then, obviously, if they do, that's when you can sort of consider going more down the selling route, which usually for me just basically then means proposing a call to chat further to see if or how I can help them. But even just a slight, almost, it's a mindset change to your outreach where you just want to see if they have a problem you can solve or not. If they don't, no worries, that's all good, and that's fine. The second thing is that if you're not seeing consistency in your results, you need to make sure you can track the results you are getting more clearly, right? Because let's say you send, I don't know, 50 outreaches and you get five positive responses. That's something, right? Right. That's definitely something. Then it's a matter of, well, if like, let's say that, I don't know, month one. If that's month one, then we need to know if that's staying the same in month two, and in month three, right? And from there, we're going to be able to refine what we're doing and figure out, okay, what is working and what's not. If we get five positive responses here, we get seven here, and then perhaps we get about 11 over here, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, this is progress, right? This is something that's getting there, but you can't see this unless you track things. And when you do regular outreach, a lot of the times, not a crazy amount of people are going to respond, right? You might find that half the people you send message to don't even respond, and maybe half of those people that do respond perhaps don't even give you a great message. So you need to know what's working and what's not working so you can make those refinements. And the last thing is that if you are lacking time and energy for outreach, really it does help to either follow a quick routine or just generally outsource the whole thing. So, in terms of a quick routine that I usually like to do, I like to take my sort of new connections, which usually I'll sort of basically connect with through LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I've got more videos on that, but I'm not going to cover that in much more detail. But I'll basically take sort of new connections. I might even take things such as profile viewers and such. And all I'm going to do is from there, I'm going to basically open up the profiles. And I'm obviously going to I'm going to make sure I sort of send the message. So I'm going to aim to personalize the message, but also ask that qualifying question, like I mentioned before. And obviously, really from there, it is just simply a matter of, well, do they have the problem that I can solve or not? Right. And it's a very quick thing to do. And if you can get more consistent with the routine, you're probably looking at maybe spending 20 to 30 minutes sort of a day, or at least when you are doing outreach, doesn't have to be every single day as sort of doing that. And that's really what matters here because especially, you're probably pretty busy with what you're already doing. So you don't want to add more to your plate. So this is exactly why having a quick routine that works best for you is ideal. That said, the other thing you can do is obviously outsource it as well to people that will do it for you. At the moment, at the time of recording this video, I actually do help founders sort of do done for you LinkedIn client acquisition. So if that is something you are interested in, then obviously that's something you can let me know. But overall, in terms of outreach, like the main problem that a lot of time people are dealing with is just the fact that they're feeling salesy. Perhaps they're not as consistent as they could be in it, and they just generally don't have the time and energy that they need to actually get results from it. And so, really, from there, all it really is a matter of reframing the way you think and approach it, right? You want to focus on actually being able to identify the problems, identify if they have the problem that you can solve. You want to make sure that you're able to track the messages you're using and the results you're sort of getting, no matter how small, because results are results no matter. And then you want to be able to make sure you have some form of a routine in order to make it work. And the thing that I like so much about outreach is that it's really the one thing you have a lot more control over, right? As good as say things like content are, you don't have as much control over it, which is why I think outreach, and more specifically, at least what I'm describing here, is more warm outreach or warmer outreach. It means that you have more control over the people that are seeing you, and the people that you're speaking to are more likely to sort of be qualified or perhaps interested, or even just more open to talking about their problem with you. So hopefully you found this useful, and let me know if you have any sort of questions on this. But that said, hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.